Friends, I welcome you to my channel. Before listening to this story, I will ask you to like and subscribe. It is not difficult for you, but it is pleasant for me. And we're starting. I've read stories about such things. I always assumed that this was just a fiction and nothing like this would ever happen, at least to me. So imagine my surprise that evening when my almost 20-year-old wife said to me at dinner, "Darling, we need to talk." My heart jumped into my throat, and I immediately tensed up, preparing for the worst. Did she cheat on me? Did she want a divorce? What could it be? Where did we go wrong? I stared at her across the dining table, my hands shaking. To talk? I asked, trying my best to speak calmly. Talk about what? Well, first of all, I want to tell you that I love you, she said and took a sip of wine, as if she wanted to calm her nerves. I noticed that she didn't eat much. I stared at her, trying to analyze her movements, her expression, anything that would give me at least some clue to what was about to happen. I couldn't stand the tension for long and blurted out, "Did you cheat on me, Maggie?" Her face twitched, and she looked at me with big, surprised eyes. "No, of course not," she replied. "I would never cheat on you." Although the way she emphasized the word cheating made me nervous, I seemed to breathe a sigh of relief. "Well, if it's not cheating, then what is it? Are you leaving me?" I asked, fearing the worst. "Oh my God, George," she said. "Where did you get those thoughts from? Of course I won't leave you. I love you." "Okay," I replied. "I love you too. I plan to grow old with you and spend the rest of our lives together." Maggie's eyes lit up and she smiled warmly at me. "Me too, George." "Then what's the matter? Are you feeling unwell?" I asked, increasingly worried about Maggie's health. "I'm fine, darling," she assured me. "I didn't mean to scare you, but it seems to me that something has been wrong between us for a long time. Now that Meredith has gone to college, everything looks different. Maybe it's empty nest syndrome or a midlife crisis or something like that, but we seem to be stuck in some kind of rut." I felt a little relaxed, but I was still feeling anxious, wondering what the hell was bothering Maggie. "A track? How is that?" I asked. "Well, we spend so much time at work that we don't have much time for each other. Your job often forces you to leave town, and my job often keeps me in the office late. When we're not working, we both get tired. When was the last time we made love? When was the last time we made love?" I repeated her question. To be honest, I couldn't remember the last time it was. Maggie hadn't wanted to make love in a long time. It's been a while, but every time I start to do something even remotely useful, you shut me down. You'll always have one excuse or another. "That's right," Maggie agreed. "I know. I usually get damn tired when you want to frolic. But when we were young, we didn't care if we were tired or not. We made love 3 or 4 times a week. Now it happens every 3 to 4 months." "If that's the case," I replied, agreeing with her. "So what?" My irritation was growing. It sounded like she was accusing me of not loving when she always said no. "If it were up to me, we would do it often. And I want to get out of this rut we're in," she said. "I want to settle everything between us so that we can stay together for the rest of our lives. We're bored, George. We need to stop being bored." "I'm not bored," I said. "There are a lot of worries in my life." "Excitement? Really? What are you going to do tonight?" she asked with a wry smile. "Watch The Curse of Oak Island. They say they're going to make a big discovery tonight," I replied, considering her words. "Don't they say they only find dirt and pieces of wood every week?" "Well, yes," I admitted. "More or less." "Like I said," she chuckled. "It's boring." "Okay, it's not boring. It's convenient. It's convenient for us. That's what happens when you've been married as long as we have. Make yourself comfortable." "I don't need comfort," Maggie explained. "When we first got married, you raped me every night. You haven't raped me in years." "Is that all?" I asked, putting down my fork. "Do you want me to rape you?" "Pull down your pants and bend over the table." "I'm going to rape you now." "It's not exactly what I was thinking, George. To be honest, I'm just as uninterested in making love to you as you are with me. It's just a place where we are in our lives. We've lost a spark, and that worries me. We are already over 40. We still have many years ahead of us. I'm afraid that if we've already lost this romantic interest in each other, what will we have left in a few years? How can we stay together? We will stay together because we are husband and wife. This is what husbands and wives do. We are used to each other, we are comfortable. And who says I'm not interested in making love to you? Of course I'm interested. We've become roommates, George. Nice neighbors? I think we are more than neighbors. I mean, we make love from time to time, and we love each other. So, we are roommates with infrequent benefits. Yes, I love you, George, and I know that you love me. But can you honestly tell me that you still love me the same way you did when we got married in the Stone Age? This is completely different. I tried to explain, like a good wine. Over the years, our love has matured and softened. We've gotten older, and our libido isn't as active as it used to be. Don't you want to feel the pleasure and thrill of chemistry again, like before? She said, taking my hand. I don't know, Maggie, but I like the way things are right now. I mean, of course I'd like to make love more often, but I like to come home and hang out with you, quietly and peacefully. We've been working hard to get to where we are. It's like that damn hammock in the backyard. It has been standing there for almost 20 years. Every year I told myself that soon I would be able to just lie down, relax, and read a book. Well, now that I'm finally going to get into this thing, you tell me you want to get rid of the hammock? Maggie stared at me, considering my words, then shook her head. I don't understand this, but I'm not asking you to give up anything, dear. I'm saying that, in my opinion, we need to revive our romance, revive our love life before it's too late. My libido is not dead. It's just dormant. I want to feel what we felt when we made love, when he was new, fresh, and exciting, as if we couldn't get enough of him or each other. So you're saying that our lovemaking is no longer satisfying? No, I'm not saying that at all. You are a wonderful, caring, and talented lover when we make love. You always know how to please me. The problem is not that our lovemaking is bad, but that we never want to do it. What are you saying? I asked. I'm confused. I'm saying I want more. I feel like we're not lovers anymore. We're just partners. I want to feel your love again. I want to feel like I love you again. I want passion. I want wishes. I want romance. I thought you said you didn't want to make love. Do you want it or not? I want to make love. It looks like you want to be young again. Are you sure it's not your hormones? Do you have hot flashes? Don't do this, George. Don't oversimplify my feelings, and don't make me a woman with hormonal problems. Every time I get upset, I don't have PMS, and just because I want to rekindle our love doesn't mean I'm going through menopause. I'm sorry, you're right. It was insensitive. I'm just trying to figure out where it all came from all of a sudden. Darling, this is not so unexpected. I've been thinking about it for a long time. I'm afraid that if we don't do something drastic to restart our relationship, our marriage won't survive. She looked like she was about to cry. I heard what she was saying. To be honest, she sounded like she was on autopilot. Well, if it's not sudden, I asked angrily, then why are you only talking about it now? Why didn't you try to talk to me about this before? It took me a long time to get to this point, she explained, but I'm talking about it now. I didn't want it to keep festering. Maybe there was something in what she was saying. I loved Maggie and was ready to do anything to make her happy and improve our relationship. Okay, I'm listening. I can tell you've been thinking about it a lot, and it's important to you. What do you want to do? Should we go to a marriage counselor? I read about someone named Intimacy Coach. Should I try to find him? That's a great idea, she said with a smile, wiping a tear from her cheek. Thanks for the offer. I think we should try it. But I've been thinking about other things we could do. Like what? Well, first let me ask you something. Your company is a creative agency, right? You keep telling me that you're one of the best at what you do. Yes, we are among the top 2 in the state, and maybe the top 5 in the country. Why? What does this have to do with our personal lives? Do you hire the best people? Of course, yes. And how many of these people have been working in your company for, say, 20 years? No one. The company has been in existence for only 6 years. We are constantly attracting new talent. Our industry has a large turnover. Right. So you're always acquiring new talents, new ideas, new ways of doing things? Yes, we are very creative. We have an ever-evolving way of working. And people always bring new skills and new energy, making things better for everyone? Yes, that's right. Where are you going with all this? George, it's been 20 years since we got married next month. Before that, we had been dating exclusively for 3 years. In all this time, I have never cheated on you. And as far as I know, you have never cheated on me. This means that for almost 23 years we have been making love only to each other. You were my first, and from what you've told me, you've only had 2 girlfriends before me. That's right, I said, starting to worry again about where this was going to lead. My stomach was clenching. So what? Well, would you hire a person to work in your company if he had learned his skills 23 years ago and had not taken any lessons, had no new ideas or new education? Would you like employees to practice what you do only once every few months? Would your company be the best if everyone didn't try to be the best and kept climbing to new and higher levels? What? Of course not. But this is completely different. It's a job. We're talking about us. What exactly do you mean by that? I mean, 23 years ago we had advanced skills. We've been doing this all the time. It was new and fun. It was exciting. Well, then Meredith came along, and we changed. We became parents, then professionals, then soccer moms and basketball coaches. We've been developing our skills as parents and in our careers, but we haven't done anything to develop our skills with each other. We continued to do everything the same, conveniently, as always. The way we found out 23 years ago. It has become stale. The novelty has disappeared. We got bored. It has become a routine. We've lost the spark. What are you saying, Maggie? I'm saying I don't need comfort, George. I hate comfort. I'm sick of comfort. I want a new one. I want excitement. I want to learn new skills and become a better lover. I want to use this to rekindle the fire between us, turn our boring, comfortable life upside down. I want to fall in love again. I need a lover, not a roommate. I want to feel the passion again. I need it. Okay, I muttered. I was shaking all over. I don't know if it's from excitement or adrenaline. Maybe it was my struggle or the flight protection that went into overdrive. I will do everything in my power to give you passion. We can have date nights and do whatever you want. I won't be watching TV that much, and we may have hobbies or something we can do together. We can travel more. You always love to travel. So why don't we go somewhere every month, even if it's just an overnight stay in a hotel in one of the new trendy areas of the city? Maggie took my hand in hers and kissed it, then shook her head. George, I know you'd move a mountain for me if you could. I know you think these things will help, but in the end, it's still us doing them. We're all the same. Nothing will change, and soon we will get bored of it too. These ideas are a good step, but they are still too convenient. We don't learn or experience anything new. So, what are you talking about? I followed you, but now you're losing me. What do you suggest we do? Go to a swinger resort or somewhere else? Oh my God, no, she said in disgust. I would never be able to go to a place like this. I couldn't handle people trying to get us to join them for casual lovemaking. No, nothing like that. Then what? I asked, getting more and more upset. Well, I think we need something like a head shock, a kind of reboot, something new and exciting that will give our novel a boost and bring the spark back into our bed life. At that moment, I was ready to accept almost everything she offered. That sounds great. I'm all for it. How would you do that? I think I should start dating others. Anything but that. Wow, 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 I said, taking my hands away from my wife and looking at her, frowning. Say it again. I don't think I heard you. I said that I need to start dating others. Yes. Good. It turns out I heard everything right the first time, I said, leaning back in my chair at the kitchen table. Then I leaned forward and looked at my wife as if she had lost her mind. Are you crazy? She seemed surprised by my reaction. No, not at all. I've been thinking about it a lot. I think that's what we need. Maggie, you've had some crazy ideas before, but this is too much. I don't think it's crazy, George. You'll understand too, if you let me explain my reasoning. Yes, please explain. Explain how you want to improve our relationship and light a spark in our bed life by cheating on me. George, I'm not going to cheat on you, she said. That's not what I'm suggesting. Do you want to date other men like you date other men besides me? Yes, that's right. How is a real romantic date? Yes, that's the point. And a real date, how would you be with someone if we weren't married? I didn't think about it in those terms, but yes, it is. A real date. So, is he going to use you on the first date, or are you going to make him wait until the fifth like you did with me? George, I didn't say anything about using it. Yes, but you said a real date, like you're not married. And on real dates, people make love. So you're saying that making love is completely off the list of your dates? Well, no, I'm not saying that. So you're using them? I didn't say that either. I just want to say that I would be open to seeing where dating is going and how relationships are developing. A relationship? So not only do you want to date some guy or guys, you want to use them and develop a relationship with them. You're only dodging to point out what you want to point out, George. Yes or no, Maggie? Would you ever make love to your boyfriends? She hesitated. It's not that black and white. Yes or no? Yes, probably so. Then it's treason. No, it's not like that. How the hell do you think that's not cheating? You meet some guy, arrange a romantic date with him, and make love. This is treason. I was furious. I was also losing my temper quickly. Things could have gone very badly if I hadn't been careful. Maggie tried to pull herself together and stay calm. It annoyed her whenever I lost my temper. It was as if she was trying to show me that she was more civilized than me. It won't be cheating, she reasoned, because you'll give me your consent and approval, and you'll know everything about who I've been with and what I've been doing. We'll share all the details after I get home. Oh my God. God, I shouted, emphasizing every word. Not only do you want to cheat on me, but you also want to completely make a doll out of me. What the hell makes you think that I would ever agree to you dating or approve of you making love to someone else? What came into your head that made you lose all understanding of reality? Do you really think I'm going to settle for this shit? George, please try to stay calm so we can talk. No need to shout, and no need to be vulgar. You are welcome. I stared at her. Did you really think that I would agree? I knew it would be hard for you to accept, but you love me, and you're a reasonable person. You're a smart guy. I assumed and still believe that you would calm down, understand the logic of what is happening, and agree to support me. Support you? Yes. While you're making love to other men? George, it's not about using other men. If I just wanted to do it, believe me, I could do it for years with many men. Damn it, I could do this with your brother, your best friends, and your boss. They all pestered me many times. But I didn't do it. I would never cheat on you. I would never do that to you. But you're offering to do it right now. No, honey, she tried to correct me. This is not a hoax. It's not for me. This is for us. It will bring us excitement, fun, and new adventures. Our bed life will come alive again. I'm going to live again. You will feel it and become a part of it. Are we doing this together? What? Do you want me to go on dates with you? Well, no. I meant figuratively, not literally. You're going to stay at home and wait for me to go on a date. And then, when I get home, I'll tell you every last detail. I suppose you want me to come down on you after he uses you? She literally blushed. I couldn't believe it, but she really wanted me to do it. Well, I mean, that would be the best way to show me your love. It's going to be a cold day in hell before I ever do that, I told her icily. Okay, we can skip that part, she suggested. If you don't want to ruin our marriage, you're not just going to miss this. It won't destroy our marriage. You're making love to another man, period. It's not going to be love, George. I'll save it for you. I love you. I don't like him. It will just be making love. Just making love? Yes, just making love. I stared at her in silence for a few seconds. What does that even mean? It means that I won't have any feelings for him, and he won't have any feelings for me either. We just want to explore each other. Nothing else. Just making love, I repeated, thinking over her words. Yes. So, let me make sure that I understand everything. Okay, take your time. You just want to make love to another man, I said slowly. If anything, yes, she confirmed. So why is that? Why do you just want to make love to someone else? She didn't have a ready answer. Probably for a change. Try something else. Which means I'm not enough for you. It means that I'm not giving you what you need. You're not satisfied with making love to me, and you want to try to find someone better. Wait. No, Maggie exclaimed. It's not like that at all. I love making love to you. You are a great lover. I don't want anyone better. If that were true, I explained judiciously, then you wouldn't be looking for someone else. The only reason you want to make love to someone else, if it's just making love, is to upgrade to find someone better than what you have. That's not true at all, she countered, not backing up her statement. Oh, of course, I said. Think about it. If you love sushi and have found the best sushi place in the world, and this sushi place is next door, but there are 20 other sushi places in the city, why would you waste your time trying 20 other places when you already have the best sushi right here? She thought for a few seconds, then answered, probably to try other sushi. But why? If you know that this place is the best, would you like to go somewhere where you know it won't be as good or satisfy you the way it should? I asked rhetorically and continued. Of course not. You would try other places only if part of you thought that it could get better, that in some sense one of the other places could be better than the one you love. I really don't understand, she said, looking a little unhappy. If it's just making love, then why would you want to make love to someone else? If you are satisfied with our bed life, if I satisfy you, then if all you want is just making love, why not just make love to me? We rarely make love. So if you just want more lovemaking, then we can make love more often. But no, you'd rather do it with someone else who might be better, but might be worse. Obviously, you want to do this with someone else because it's not just making love, or you're not satisfied with making love with me. Do you think he could be better? I don't know, she replied, confused. You're confusing me, but you're not. Okay, so it's just making love, right? Yes. How many times do I have to repeat this? Yes. It's just making love. Okay, if that's true, then I have a solution, I grinned. She seemed to perk up, and there was a spark of hope in her eyes. What is it? If you only want to make love, then I'm ready to let you do it. She seemed stunned. Will you let me? Yes, I'll find a male escort and hire him to come here and use you, I said. An escort? Why do I need an escort? Are you crazy? Because it's just making love, I retorted. Since he's a random person, you won't have the slightest chance to recognize him. It's going to be bam bam thank you, sir, and he's going to leave. So you can't risk physical intimacy leading to unexpected feelings. You're talking about me as a cheater. I don't want to make love to some unknown gigolo. I need some kind of connection with this person. I'm not just a piece of meat. Exactly, I grinned. It means that it's not just about making love. You don't just want to make love, you want more. You want to make love to a specific person because you have some chemistry with them. Her face turned red again and she couldn't answer. Finally, she answered, okay, maybe that's partly true, but that doesn't mean anything. I couldn't help but laugh. What? It doesn't mean anything. For whom does it mean nothing? For me. For him. We know it's just a bed thing. He knows that I love you and is not looking for such a relationship. Do you really believe that it doesn't mean anything to you? I know. Then if it doesn't mean anything, why do it? Maggie, you don't make any sense. Why would you do something if you know it doesn't mean anything? If it doesn't mean anything, then you don't want to do it. You want to do this to him precisely because it really means something. She put her head in her hands and moaned, it definitely doesn't mean anything. It means a lot to me. You know perfectly well that making love is the highest form of intimacy. When we got married, we agreed to have only this level of intimacy with each other. You want to throw it away to experiment with someone else. You want to explore this intimacy with someone you have a connection with besides me. You are not satisfied with this intimacy with me, and our bed life does not satisfy you. So you want an update. No, that's not the point, she said. So you're hoping to make love to him to make sure he's not as good as me? She just looked at me. Of course not, I said sharply. You wouldn't go into this if you thought it could be the same or worse than me. You only want to do this because you hope, no, because you already suspect that it will be much better than what we have. I don't know, she shouted. I've never thought about it that way. You've completely confused me. And what happens when you finish and come to my house after he makes your brains and satisfies you more than I do? Have you thought about that? I, she began, but hesitated. I've never thought about it. What do you mean? I mean, how can you expect your feelings for me to be the same after you've had the best lovemaking with someone else? You claim you're doing this to spice up our bed life. But if he's better than me, you'll never want to make love to me again. You'll want to take him with you. You'll miss him. And worse, I'll know you want him when you feel sorry for using me from time to time. How can we continue? We will continue as before. How can I keep this up, Maggie? What do you mean? How can I keep doing this, knowing that I'm not satisfying you enough to keep you at home? How can I kiss you, knowing that another man kissed you, and you liked it more than kissing me? How can I touch you, knowing that you love his touch more than mine? She stared at me in silence. How can I make love to you again if I know all the time that you're thinking about him? If making love to him is better than making love to me, how can you be satisfied with me again? You will think of him, desire him. I didn't marry you to play second fiddle to someone else. She shook her head. But it won't be like that. If that's not the case, then why? You want this because you think it's going to be a mind-blowing, amazing lovemaking unlike anything you've ever done with me. If not, you won't even think about it. When she didn't answer, I continued. And do you know what the scariest thing is? There's no way I can win in this situation. I adore you and find you incredibly beautiful. I've only ever wanted to make love to you. I love making you happy. I thought we had a mind-blowing lovemaking. I thought we were good together, and we often want this. But you shut us down. It doesn't matter how good or not we are together. You have this mental image of how good it's going to be with him. If we were the same size and gave you the same pleasure, you would still come to your senses thinking that you would be better off with him. Even if he's not that good, you might still think he's better. I can't compete. He wins no matter what. She stared at me, unable to say a word. I was beside myself with rage. Who the hell put all this nonsense in your head? George, please. Maggie, fuck off. George. No, I'm serious. Back off. This is complete nonsense. There's no way I'm going to let you date anyone. There's no way in the world I'm going to sit at home and wait for you to finish using your lover. And if you ever thought that I would be a cuckold and let someone use you, then you are not the woman I married 20 years ago. You're some kind of crazy cheater who just left her marriage. She was shocked to the core. I had never said anything so harsh to her before. George, you're overreacting, she said, tears streaming down her cheeks. No, it's not, I replied calmly, my voice as hard as ice. You're overreacting. Get out of my house. I don't want you here anymore. You're right. We won't last long. We won't live to be 20. Now we're done. The fact that you even proposed such a stupid fucking idea tells me that you have already deceived your mind and heart, if not your body. You're moving on. So fuck you. I'm not going anywhere, she said defiantly. This is just ridiculous. I live here. I'm your wife. We live here. You can't tell me where I can be. Now calm down and let's discuss this like adults. Okay, then okay. Stay here. I grabbed my keys and wallet from the counter and headed through the kitchen to the garage. Where are you going? What is it? She asked desperately. She was crying, looking at me in shock. Anywhere but here. It stinks in here. Please don't go, George. Talk to me. We can get through this. I stopped and looked at her. I'll give you one chance to stop me. I will stay if you swear to me that you will never talk about this idea or anything like that again, that you will never date another man, never make love to anyone but me, remaining faithful and devoted to me for the rest of our lives, as we swore on our wedding. Not only will you never suggest it, but you'll never want to do it? She stared at me. I saw the confusion in her head, the inner struggle. She was furious and on the verge of breaking down. George, please, I think this might help us. So no, I said, turning and opening the garage door. Maggie screamed at me to stay. Wait, please, I promise. I swear. I won't talk about it anymore. Just please don't leave. I turned around again. There was something else I needed to say. I do not know who put you up to it and filled your head with all this nonsense, but I will find out. If I find out that you've already dated him or that you've already made love to him, I'll divorce you. That's for sure. Damn it. We're not dating, George. We didn't do anything. But there are us. Good. Go use your boyfriend. You've probably already done that. And we know. I swear. If you want to somehow save what's left of our marriage, you better not lie to me. No more secrets. No more lies. No more cheating. Not at all, George. I swear. We were just talking about it. You were talking to another man about using him. So, this whole conversation, this whole ambush, it all confirms my point of view. You want me to agree to let you use some particular guy that you've already planned everything with. You disgust me, I told her, which made her cry even harder. I can't look at you right now. I'm sorry, George. I didn't think you'd take it that way. He told me that you might get upset at first, but then you'll come to your senses. Upset? Who the hell is he? She hesitated again. I looked at the open garage door. By not telling me everything, you prefer him to me. Stephen, she said. Stephen Archer. The consultant you've been working with for the last few months? The guy you introduced to me at Houlihan's dinner party? Yes, that's him. We worked closely together and started talking. I needed to sit down. I closed the door, went back to the table, and sat down across from Maggie. Tell me everything, I said. That's it? What is it? She asked. Yes, I want to know everything you talked about, everything you did, and everything you know about this asshole. She nodded. May I sit down? This is still your house, I said. She nodded again and sat down, then continued to tell me what had brought us to this point. I spent the next 2 hours listening to my wife talk about Stephen Archer and his seduction. This has been going on for several months now. He started slowly, subtly working on brainwashing my wife into accepting his shit. He never pushed too hard or tried to do something too explicit, knowing that she was smart enough to know if he would do it. So far, according to her, they had only talked. She had never even kissed him. It was part of his plan. Without making any overt attempts to make physical contact, she believed that his motives were pure. He was going to wait until I agreed to make my move. By the time she finished her story, I was convinced of 2 things. 1. My marriage is most likely over, even if she never speaks to Stephen again, and 2. Stephen had to pay for what he was doing. I needed a plan to deal with both points, but I didn't know what to do with either. I needed to buy time. Are you still mad at me? Maggie asked. Maggie, I do not know how I feel, I told her. It's not easy to put into words. A large part of me is hurt and angry that you don't think enough about our marriage to even think about what Stephen was proposing. If you wanted to spice up our bed life, then this is not the way out. There are at least 100 other things you could try first, like not turning me down every time I try to mess around. Maggie lowered her eyes and looked distressed. I sighed. Another part of me sympathizes with the fact that you were fooled by a clever manipulator who played you. So this part of me wants to consider you innocent and resume our lives. I'd really like that, Maggie replied, smiling at me. Can we do this and forget that I brought this up at all? No, we can't, I answered honestly. There's a part of me that still wants to leave and never see you again. I may be able to survive your betrayal eventually, but it will take time and effort on your part. Maggie nodded, then asked, Is there any part that even considered this idea as funny? Oh my God, Maggie, I shouted. Are you seriously asking me that after everything I've said? I'm sorry, she said, shyly lowering her eyes. I'm sorry. So, what's going to happen now? I honestly don't know, I replied. I need time to think about what I want to do with it. The fact that you're still considering doing this tells me a lot about you. I'm really sorry. Please tell me that you still don't want to get divorced. I don't know shit, but I think it depends on you, really, I replied. If I find out that you lied to me, I will divorce you. If you don't shut Stephen down completely, I'll divorce you. He's going to ask about it. What should I tell him? You have to figure out what you're going to tell him. Do you talk to him when you are not at work, call, text, communicate on the computer? No, just a little bit, she explained. We mostly only talk at work. Stephen made it a rule not to contact each other except in the office. However, I know that Stephen will ask about it first thing tomorrow. I do not know what to say. Should I tell him to forget about all this and never think about it again? Of course you have to do this, I said, thinking about what I could do to get back at the man who wanted to use my wife. Is he married? I asked. Maggie nodded. Yes, she said softly. A few months ago, their second child was born. Oh my God, Maggie, I exclaimed. He just had a baby, and you were going to use this guy? What about his wife and their family? Have you even thought about them? He told me she didn't mind him fooling around. They have an open marriage. And you believed him? She blushed. I could see that she was beginning to realize how stupid she had been. Yes, I guess I wanted to believe him. Now I know how stupid that is. Maggie, I said, looking at her intently, if we want to save our marriage, you have to be on my team. You have to take my side, no matter what I do, no matter what I tell you. If you hesitate or take his side, then forget about it. We can get divorced and end our marriage. I'm on your team, honey, Maggie assured me. I swear. You and our daughter are all that matters to me. Wait here, I said, getting up and taking out my laptop. I brought it and opened it when I sat down next to my wife. Have you ever looked at his Facebook page? I asked. Yes, a few times, but he doesn't use social media very often, she explained. I pushed the laptop towards her and asked her to find his page. She tapped the keys for a while, then said, "Here it is." Very little information was available to the public. Steven's profile had no relationship status, no family photos, or even a link to his wife. I logged into LinkedIn, searched for Steve Archer, and hit the jackpot. He was much more outspoken there than on Facebook. Do you know his wife's name? I asked. Janet, Maggie replied. I quickly searched for Janet Archer and found two. Do you know if she's a realtor or a recruitment specialist? He told me that she runs a fancy real estate agency that specializes in multi-million-dollar homes, Maggie replied. I clicked on the realtor's link. Her profile opened up and a beautiful young blonde smiled back at us. Is that her? I asked, looking at the hot wife of my elderly wife's future lover. I don't think so, Maggie replied. I've never seen a picture of her. But it doesn't look like the woman he described to me. He told me she was old, fat, and unattractive. I giggled. Of course he did it. This Janet Archer was young, in great shape, and stunningly beautiful. I opened her Facebook page. Well, I said. According to her public profile, she has a husband named Steve and two daughters, Selena and Catherine. Does it sound familiar? Yes, Maggie replied, looking at the photos of the woman. These are the names of Steven's daughter. I scrolled down and found a ton of photos of a happy family. Some of the latter seemed to be from a youth cheerleading competition. It showed a lovely Janet with her daughters, and Steve was standing next to them, smiling at the camera. Maggie gasped. It's him. No offense, Maggie, I said, pulling out some photos of Steve and his wife. Why would he go to all this trouble to sleep with you when he has such a hot woman at home? She looked offended. Okay, I am. I do not know, she said. She looked like she was going to cry again. That's not what he told me about her at all. You said they had an open marriage, right? I asked. That's exactly what he told me, Maggie replied, not too confidently. I found some pictures of Janet in a bikini and whistled. Maybe I overreacted, I said, looking at Janet Archer's beautiful face. Maybe I'm looking at it all wrong. What do you mean? Maggie asked. Do you have his mobile number? I asked. Maggie stared at me nervously. You're not going to call him, are you? Well, I replied. That's right. Maggie looked stunned. I can't do this. Wait, you said you were on my team. I said you have to support me no matter what I do, right? She nodded. Yes, that's right. So are you on my team or not? Yes, she admitted. Okay, I said, then call him. Okay, I'll do that, Maggie agreed, but hesitated. Before I do that, may I ask why? I smiled. Well, Steven wants to use my wife, right? Maggie nodded. Well, if I let him use you, isn't it fair that I use his wife? Wait, what? Maggie exclaimed. Do you want to use his wife? Well, look at her, I said, pointing to a picture of Janet Archer in a very tight bikini. She's a damn hot thing. This should never happen, Maggie said. I laughed. You said you wanted to spice up our bed life, right? Yes, Maggie said, crossing her arms over her chest. That's what I did. And you were going to revive her by using Steven, I explained. Well, wouldn't it be even more interesting if I also used his wife? After all, you said yourself that they have an open marriage. Yes, but, Maggie muttered. It's not that you used some fool. Oh, wait, I said, grinning. Is she a cheater? What makes her a cheater? She is married to Steven and can make love to other men. You're married to me, and you want to be allowed to make love to other men. By that definition, doesn't that make you want to be a cheater? Maggie stared at me. No, it's not the same thing. And why not? I asked. How is it different? If anything, how do Janet and I differ from you and Steven? She's too pretty, Maggie said. So it's okay if I use someone ugly? I asked. No, that's not what I meant, Maggie replied, looking almost defeated. It's just different. Are you afraid that I'll enjoy using it too much? Maybe. Or that after I have it, I'll never want to use you again? Maybe. Or maybe you're afraid that if I use her when I'm with you, I'll think about her? Yes, damn it. Maggie admitted reluctantly. I get it. Okay? I see what you're trying to do. I thought we agreed to forget about everything. Yes, but that was before I saw what she looked like, and before I really thought about your offer. Oh, so because you think you can use a hot girl, you suddenly decided that I could use Steven? Damn right, I said enthusiastically. And why not? You're an ass, Maggie said. Wait, am I an ass because I want Janet? You were the one who wanted to use someone else. I'm just agreeing with what you wanted. No, you're trying to destroy what I wanted. So you wanted to make love to others, but you don't want me to do the same? You're just trying to confuse me. I told you it wasn't like that, Maggie said, on the verge of tears again. Maggie, calm down and let's discuss this like adults, I said, using her own words against her. I'm starting to realize that this could be good for us. I don't want to do this, Maggie said. You talked me out of it. I agreed that it was a mistake. This is a mistake. Let's forget about everything. Take your time. I found his number and started dialing Maggie's phone. Let's call your lover and see what he has to say. Maggie screamed. Hang up the phone. Don't call him. Shoo, I said softly, gesturing for my wife to be silent. It's all right, honey. The phone is already ringing. I turned on the speakerphone so Maggie could hear both sides of the conversation. Maggie, I told you not to call me at home. Hi, is this Stephen Archer? I asked, speaking clearly and slowly. There was a long pause, then a click, and the connection was cut off. How strange, I said to my wife. We've switched off. I'd better call you back. Maggie tried to pick up the phone. Please don't do this. Hush, I said, putting the phone away. You might think that you don't want to do this anymore. I don't know. Hi, Stephen. This is Maggie's husband. Are you there? Yes, I'm here. What do you want? Stephen asked with obvious concern. Oh, is this really the wrong time? I asked. What do you want? He repeated even more angrily. Well, I began. Maggie told me how you asked her out on a date. There was silence on the other end of the line for a few seconds. So what? He finally said. And I think that would be a great idea, I said. Maggie grabbed my arm and tried to interrupt me. I shushed her and continued. I mean, with certain parameters and agreements, of course. Parameters and agreements? Stephen asked, confused. Yes, I replied. I mean, if you're going to use my wife, I want to make sure it's all open. No secrets, right? Yes, I suppose so, Stephen said. His voice didn't sound very confident. I mean, the last thing we want is to ruin a marriage by lying and cheating. I love Maggie and I don't want to lose her. So I agreed. As long as we all discuss everything openly and we all know what's going on. Cool? Yes, of course, Stephen replied. It makes sense. Maggie stared at me with her mouth open. When I looked at her, she shook her head and said, Baby, I don't want to do this. I waved it off dismissively. Great. I continued the conversation with Stephen. Then why don't you run after Janet and turn on the speakerphone? What? Stephen asked in surprise. Why don't you call your wife? Janet, the mother of your two daughters, Selena and Catherine, the woman you're openly married to, so she can hear all the details. Listen, asshole, Stephen growled. I don't know what kind of game you're playing. I cut him off. Stephen, I'm not playing, I told him. Maggie told me that you and Janet are swingers, and you don't care who she makes love to. We've been watching her bikini photos on Facebook, and I have to say that I'm going to enjoy myself with her while you're doing my wife. What are you doing? What is it? He asked shrilly. I'm going to use Janet, your wife, and you're going to use Maggie, my wife. That's what swingers do, isn't it? Wife swap? Bastard, don't involve my wife in this. Stephen asked. Stephen, my boy, I said calmly. It's a little late for that. You've spent the last few months seducing my wife. Wasn't Janet pregnant with Selena most of that time? Happy birthday. I bet Janet is back to normal and ready. Shut the fuck up, he shouted. I told you not to involve Janet in this. Oh, wait. Are you saying she doesn't know you want to use Maggie? Aren't you in an open marriage? I looked at Maggie. She covered her face with her hands and cried. I heard a woman's voice in the background. Darling, what happened? Who is this? No one. It's all right. Get the girls ready to leave, Stephen said to his wife. Oh, yes, I began. Today is a big day. Catherine has a cheerleading tournament this afternoon. How the hell do you know that? He asked. It's amazing how much shit you can find out on Facebook. I chuckled. I have an idea. I waited for him to answer. A few seconds passed while he considered my words. What's the idea? What is it? He finally asked. Why don't Maggie and I meet you and Janet at the tournament? Then we can tell her about all the details that she missed. After that, we can go to the bar and have a few drinks, get to know each other, and come back here to make love all night. I'll even let you and Maggie use the master bedroom. Stephen growled into the phone, then answered in a harsh whisper. Listen, motherfucker, stay away from my wife and my kids. I'll use you if I see you anywhere nearby. Stephen, I warned him. Don't get so upset. You agreed that we would have no secrets and that everyone should know what we were going to do, including Janet, right? Fuck you, asshole, he yelled. Don't ever call me again. Okay, then I'll just call Janet, I replied quickly before he could hang up. Wait, Stephen barked. How did you get her number? Steve, it doesn't matter, I told him. It is important that everyone knows what you were doing and what your intentions were towards my wife. There was another long pause. Then, I want you to stay away from my wife, you bastard. If I hear that you were in the same room with her, I'll go to Janet and tell her everything you've done. Understood? Understood, he replied humbly. We work together. I do not know if I can completely avoid her. Maggie will be on vacation for the next 2 weeks, I explained to him. When she returns, you will need to transfer to another company. You're a consultant. Just tell your bosses that one of the women got to know you too well, and you should be transferred for the good of the case. I guarantee you they'll get you out of there by the time she gets back. And if I don't do it? He asked. I turned to my wife. Maggie, call Janet and tell her everything. She stared at me incredulously. Of course I was bluffing. I didn't have Janet's number, but Stephen didn't know that. I motioned for Maggie to play along. Okay, honey, she said through her tears. Wait, Stephen shouted. Okay, I'll tell them about it tomorrow morning. All right, I replied. You're not as stupid as Maggie said you were. And one last thing, Maggie can hear you now. Apologize to my wife. I could see that Stephen was angry. He took a deep breath and said briefly, I'm sorry, Maggie. Before she could answer, I said, don't ever mess with my wife again. And now I suggest you get ready to take your family to a cheerleading tournament. Good luck, Catherine. I hung up, dropped the phone on the counter, and turned to Maggie. She stared at me with puppy dog eyes. I'm so sorry, she began. I raised my hand to stop her. Tomorrow you'll need to call your boss and tell him that you have an urgent family matter and need to take 2 weeks off, I instructed her. She lowered her eyes and nodded. Now pull down your pants and bend over the table so I can rape you properly, I demanded. Maggie looked into my eyes, but all she saw was anger. She bit her lip, pulled down her pants and panties to her ankles, turned away from me and bent over the kitchen table, pushing aside our uneaten breakfast. I came up behind her and slapped her bare ass hard, leaving a bright red palm print as she screamed in pain. The only date you're going to have is with me. I growled and then used my wife harder than ever before.